evening, everybody. Good evening. And today there is a slight change in the way we present. Today, what we are going to do is you will be actually able to connect with me via chat box only. Okay. So we will not be a whatever we are communicating, that will be through chat box. Okay, that's the only change I just wanted to communicate. Okay, otherwise everything will remain same. Okay. So let me say good evening, everybody. Yes, in the chat box, maybe you can just type that in the chat box to communicate with me and to everybody. Okay. Yes. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much. So let me just start sharing. Today's session is very, very important. Why this is important? Because today we are going to cover a very important topic called TRIZ. And there are certain innovative problem solving methodology or ideation methodologies, which generally a lot of people are not using or not utilizing, right? So those methodologies we are going to cover today. Okay, if my voice is clear, just type clear in the chat box, so that will be the confirmation for me that my voice and audio and visuals are completely clear. Just type clear in the chat box so that it will be absolutely yes. Okay, can somebody type on this? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think yes. I think so. There is some change in the system, but no worries. This is just a trial we are doing today. Nonetheless, the session will continue, and let's understand this. Today we are going to why we are calling ourselves as Advanced Lean Six Sigma, because of what we're learning today is not a part of Six Sigma. Understand it. This is not a part of Lean Six Sigma. This is something outside of Lean Six Sigma. Okay. So, but we are doing the amalgamation of lot of powerful tools into this. Okay. That's what we have been doing. That's what we are, in our consulting also the same approach has been used. Okay. So today's topic, as I have already communicated to you, was TRIZ. Okay, TRIZ. Now, what is TRIZ? Where do we use everything? I'm going to explain it to you today. Okay, TRIZ is a very, very powerful method, and this method basically was invented in Russia, in Soviet Union, basically, and it was not really very well practiced as per the potential of it. Okay, but still very, very powerful methodology, and we are going to learn that methodology today. Okay, and yeah, let me share the screen quickly, and then we will start our yes. So okay, so let me go directly to TRIZ, which will be better. There are so many other techniques as well we are going to learn. Maybe I just segmented them into two different parts. So today we are going to cover TRIZ. So TRIZ is basically, it's an acronym of a Russian word. This is the Russian word, I cannot pronounce it, so don't worry about it. TRIZ. Okay, that is what TRIZ is all about. But in simple English, we can say theory of inventive problem solving, or innovative problem solving. Okay, or in English they call it as TIPS as well. TIPS, TIPS. Okay, so this is called theory of inventive problem solving. That's what we are going to learn today. So what is TRIZ? That's the first question. Okay, remember, there is never one good solution. Okay, this is the golden statement. There is never one good solution. There are always solutions with S, plural. So we generally end up making one solution and implement it. But there are always various solutions. We can generate a lot of solutions and then pick and choose what is the best one out of this. Okay, that's how basically TRIZ works, TRIZ functions. Now, The important part here, what we need to understand is TRIZ does not solve the problem. Just like our scamper, we have learned scamper, right? We have learned scamper, substitute, combine, add up, modify, put to other use. All these things are the short form. These are the trigger words. Similarly, TRIZ has trigger principles. What do you mean by trigger principles? Trigger principles meaning the principles that will guide you, towards finding out the solution. That is called trigger principles. Okay, so those are 40 principles. We are going to learn the genesis of it, how they have derived, what are the basics, and how we can use as well for our solution identification. Okay, so so this is what TRIZ, theory of innovative problem solving, or TIPS also we can call it as. Now let's take a simple example. Now everybody we know that love cricket, and in India we are cricket lovers, right? So let's play cricket, right? Whenever, now generally the people who are the working professionals like us, now after our 30s, okay, 25, 27, 30s onwards, if after a gap of 5 years, understand guys, after a gap of 5 years, if we go and play cricket full-fledged, overarm cricket, and all the running and fielding and running between the wickets, bowling, everything we are doing on the field after a very big gap, then what has happened? What has happened after that is something like this. Okay, so we play, we enjoy, we lift each other, we cheer everybody, we win, we lose, whatever happens, we enjoy the day. But after enjoying the next day, remember next day, what happens the next day? Next day, it's something, this happens, your body starts paining. Yes, your body starts paining, your back starts aching, your shoulder starts paining, your hand starts paining. Sometimes it swells as well, because after a very long time, we directly jump onto something, a very physically exhaustive work called cricket, right? So understand this. So we played, we enjoyed. On the other side, we paid the price of that as well, which is the body pain the next day. Okay, sometimes next day we have to take the sick leave as well. Correct. So this is how we actually what you can say experience. So the payoff is enjoyment at the cost of body pain, at the cost of sick leave, at the cost of a little sickness. Right? Temporary. It's a temporary phase, but sometimes it stays there for 2, 3, 4, 5 days a week as well. Right? So everybody after a gap would have experienced the same thing. Why I've taken cricket? Because it's a very common example and a lot of us have experienced this. Now, what happens is, now let's understand this in a larger perspective. Let's put them. The y-axis is don't play and play longer time. Okay, the longer time is at the 0 point, and the don't play is at the top. Okay, so on the y-axis it's a playing time. On the x-axis, the horizontal axis, we have no body pain and maximum body pain. No body pain and maximum body pain, right? So let's map each other. Now understand this. What is the ideal situation here? Ideal situation would be we play, but we don't get the body pain. Okay, but what happens? We don't play, then there is no body pain. But as we play, there is always a body pain which is maximizing. You can see this. Okay, so if I have to plot this on a graph, it will look like this. Okay, so if I don't play, there will not be any body pain. Okay, but my team, my friends will take me, they will lift me from my home, they will put me on the car, go to the ground, and they will play with me, and they will make me run, they will make me field, they will make me do everything. And what happens after that is the body starts paining. Okay, so more we play, maximum is the body pain, right? So understand it. So how it is plotted? So if I play more, again body paining is more. Again, if I play more, so I'm going down, the body paining is down. If I'm going down, body paining is down. Okay. So what happens here in this case is, if I have to find out the solution for this, okay, if I have to find out, I want to play as well, and I have to, I don't want the body pain as well. Both these cases. Okay. I have to find out a middle ground. Generally, what we do in such scenarios, we do a compromise. What we do is a compromise. Compromise. Okay. What is compromise? Compromise is nothing but, a middle ground of both the situation. We want to play as well, but we don't want the body pain as well. In both the situation, the compromise would be the middle ground. What could be? What could be the compromise? Compromise could be find out something which is a middle ground, like playing for a medium time. Instead of 2 hours, let's pay for half an hour or 1 hour. That's it. So that I will have a medium body pain. This is what we do generally, right? Let's whatever I'm capable of, let's do it. Okay, let's not pay for 2 hours or 3 hours. Let's pay for maximum of 1 hour. Okay, and then I will stop. Then I will withdraw myself. I will sit outside. Okay, then the medium body pain I'll have to support it. That's a general, logical conclusion we generally conclude in majority of the cases where there are two contradicting statements or contradicting positions, and if you have to take a call on that, so we generally put a middle ground, like line of control. Right? So India is saying this, Pakistan is saying this, so there is a line of control. Correct? That's what a compromising situation is, right? So from that compromising situation, this is the state of compromise that a majority of us basically think about it. Now, from the state of compromise to the state of ideal meaning where I want to play maximum and there should not be any body pain. So what do we need to do is what the innovative thinking, what we need to do. What innovative ways we can do where I can play also, I can enjoy with my family, with my friends as well. I can play cricket and I should not be having the body pain. So that's the ideal stage. But at this point in time, with the traditional way of solving the problem or with the logical thinking or a commonsensical identification of the problem, we can come to a compromise stage. Right? Now what happens is, so how do we go from a compromise stage till the ideal state is nothing but TRIZ. That's what TRIZ come into picture. Correct? So this is where all this, all this explanation and everything will come into picture. So I'm just giving you some mundane examples and explaining this entire context called TRIZ. Okay. Again, I'm saying now the people who are very new. Now this is a solution generation. That means ideally the DMAC framework, define, measure, analyze, improve, control framework. This will fall into improve phase. Okay. And from after today, okay, this will be a part of the black belt curriculum as well. This TRIZ session will be a part of a official black belt curriculum. Okay. So which is in the traditional Lean Six Sigma, it is not there. Nobody covers TRIZ. We're the only company which is covering this TRIZ into this our black belt curriculum. Okay, but green belts also can understand this and see the power of this. Okay, so this is a basic fundamental of TRIZ, how we can move from the state of compromise to state of ideal, by using innovative methods. Right. So let's understand another example of contradiction, how contradiction happens. Now let's say if somebody is having a hatchback car, a very light vehicle, a small car, just for a husband and a wife and one person, children, one child or two children, right? Hatchback is a perfect model for them, a small family, small car, now if somebody wants bigger comfort, more comfort than hatchback, they want more leg space, they want more a side space as well, they want to spread their legs and they want to sleep as well, so they want more comfort while traveling, then they have to go back to hatchback will not serve, then they have to either go to sedan or they have to go to SUVs, right? So the bigger vehicles basically. Then what happens after that? The moment we have hatchback, which is lesser weight, and so hatchback has lesser weight, of course, added advantage. Here we have more weight, right? So here hatchback has lesser power. The sedans and SUVs have more power, right? Then smaller engine hatchback has got the sedans and the SUVs have larger engine, the bigger engine, powerful engines. Now, less fuel consumption, understand this. Now you're talking about comfort. Here on this side, there is more fuel consumption, more fuel consumption. Always remember this. Okay. So on this payoff is more comfort, right? What I'm getting, what the cost at which I have to make the payoff is more fuel consumption. And when our fuel prices are going every day, going higher and higher, in that case, it will crumble our monthly budget, right? It can take our budget on the toss. So the more fuel consumption is the trade-off, is the contradiction we are talking about. So more comfort contradicting with the more fuel consumption. Okay, that's the contradiction. So let's be comfortable. Okay, so the payoff is more comfort at the cost of additional fuel consumption. So okay, so I've given you a couple of examples. One is playing cricket, having enjoyment after a very long time with the cost of body pain and a sick leave. Here, sedan, if you have to go to sedan, more comfort at the cost of more fuel economy. Even if you want to purchase sedan or XUV or SUV, whatever, then the cost of purchasing it will also be very high. The price also will be very high. Okay. Now, so let's find out a midway. The compromising way. What would be the solution? The compromising way. The solution would be the logical solution. The engineer, the designers would think about, okay, let's change some material of construction, MOC. We call it MOC, material of construction. So compromising nothing but finding a middle way, a trade-off between the conflicting components, right? So to reduce the car weight, we can use aluminium instead of steel. Okay, so designers came out with the solution. Okay, from the steel, let's change the material of construction to aluminium. Okay, aluminium. What are the cons? What are the pros? Let's understand. So they put pros and the cons on the table like this. For example, pros will be 45 to 70% lighter than the steel. Okay, 45 to 50%, 70% lighter than that's added advantage. Cons would be 5 times more expensive than steel. Even though it would be lighter, absolutely yes, done. You're absolutely right. It will be perfectly lighter. But on the con side, it will be very expensive, right? Then another pro will be, can be shaped using many conventional steel forming technologies. What does it mean? Meaning, if you change the material of construction, your machineries need not to change because majority of the steel shaping machines would be used for the aluminium shaping as well. So there will not be any change of the machinery required. So capital investment will not be huge in that case, right? So what will be the con? But only 1/3 of the stiffness of steel can be achieved, because stiffness is a very important parameter in the strength and the quality of the automobile. So only 1/3 of the stiffness can be achieved when we use aluminium, right? Then the designers will come out with, okay, stiffness can be enhanced by making the panels thicker, meaning we increase the thickness of the plate, and that way we can increase the stiffness. And then what will be the con of that? This would negate the weight advantage and increase the cost. So it will increase the cost further because we are increasing what? Thickness as well, and the weight advantage. Ultimately, we are actually doing all the exercise to reduce the weight, right? Reduce the weight so that the fuel economy can be improvised. And if you do this, if you increase the thickness of the aluminium just to increase the stiffness, okay, ultimately it will negate the entire weight advantage what we are talking about. So see, there are this trade-off always in whenever we find out the middle way. Okay, there are pros and cons. So generally in the traditional way, generally we give the ratings. If the pros have got more ratings, then we go for it. The cons have more rating, we drop the solution. Okay, these are the ways we generally function. Okay, so this is again compromise. So I've given a couple of examples of the traditional way of solving this. Okay, so how do we go from a state of compromise to the ideal state? That is the real question, and that's where the TRIZ comes into picture. We need to invent. We need to really innovatively identify certain ideas, generate some ideas. Okay. Now that's where TRIZ come into picture. Now, what is TRIZ? As again I said, this TRIZ is a short form which is Russian in Russian language. In English, is theory of inventive problem solving, or you can call it TIPS, TIPS, TIPS. Okay. Now, here is a gentleman who actually is father of TRIZ. His name is Genrikh Altshuler. Genrikh Altshuler. He is from Soviet Union. Meaning earlier it was Soviet Union, now it is Russia. So he died in 1998, born in 1926. Basically, what he did, he was an inventor, he was a writer, he was a, he used to work in the Navy Patent Office. And what he did, he, so of course, there is a story. I'm not going to go to the story of that, but he wrote a letter to Stalin, Comrade Stalin, and then he got arrested for so many years, and when he was released, he actually, released his first white paper on TRIZ. Okay, what he did basically, he studied 300,000 patents, 300,000 patents of invention or innovative ideas and products. Okay, and those patents generally solve 1,500 problems. Okay, such a huge work this gentleman has put into this, and he identified there are common traits. So he just bucketed all those solutions. Okay, those 1,500 problems were bucketed into solutions, and those solutions were bucketed into 40 solutions that Altshuler called them as principles. 40 principles of solving the problem. So these 40 solutions termed as 40 principles of problem solving in TRIZ. Okay, so we are going to go to that. So this is just a quick summary of. So it was and why it was what do you say, not really used, even though it is a very powerful methodology of solving the problem. Seldomly used in a lot of Western countries, because of earlier it was in Russian language, converted to English language, and then a lot of very limited people, basically follow this. So we are not going to understand what it is. So TRIZ has got two basic principles. Okay. So the first principle says somebody, sometimes, somewhere has already solved your problem. Understand this. Whenever you have a problem which you are solving, let it be a process problem, let it be a engineering problem, a sales problem, a quality problem, any problem you are having, somebody, sometimes, somewhere has already solved your problem. That's a fact, correct? That's a fact. We know that this is what it is, right? So, or similar to that, meaning it does not mean exactly your problem, but your similar problem. Okay, we're not saying exactly the same quantity of product quality will be defective or same percentage of, but similar kind of challenges are already solved in the industry, in the history as well. Okay, so creativity means, so what it says, creativity means finding that solution and adapting it to the current problem. Okay, so what is creativity? Finding out that solution which is already identified by somebody, and then you do some tweaking, some changes into that solution, and use according to your current requirement. Okay, so again I'm saying somebody, sometime, somewhere has already solved your problem or one similar to it. Okay, creativity means finding that solution. So pick up that similar solution which is very close to your problem, and then adapt it to the current problem. Okay, so second point is don't accept contradiction, resolve them. Okay, so what we do in the compromise stage, we have studied that we accept that compromise and live with it. Okay, what TRIZ says, do not accept the contradiction, resolve them innovatively. That is the two principles on which TRIZ functions. Okay, so you need not to do something right from the scratch. It is already resolved. You just take that similar kind of solution and adapt yourself to to that kind of solution which will be suitable to you. Second is, do not accept the compromise, do not accept the contradiction, resolve them. Okay, these are the two basic principles on which TRIZ is standing tall. Okay, so these are the TRIZ principles. Now we have seen that this is the payoff, increasing the comfort, okay, and at the cost of higher fuel efficiency. That's a contradiction. Okay, so okay, this is just the example of this. Now look at this. These are the steps at which we actually find out the result. What are the steps? The steps are, the first step is the bottom level of this entire staircase is knowing the objective, or IFR. IFR is ideal final result. Ideal final result, IFR. Okay. So knowing the objective. So we have to be very clear what do we want to achieve. What is the intention of doing this? Okay. What is the end in mind? That should be very clear. So this is the first step of it. The second step is then what is the contradicting factor? So what is the challenge? Okay. What is the challenge? What is the compromising factor? What is the contradicting factor which we want to overcome? We have to overcome, right? Then finding the resources. What is the resources? Resources are nothing but, the tools, people, general resources who are around that problem, which we have to identify and use them carefully, use them innovatively to solve the problem. That is called resource identification and analysis. Then principle using contradiction matrix. Now I'll explain you what is contradiction matrix, what does it mean, and then application of principle to the resources. Okay. So once we identify the contradiction, right? So those contradictions we have to take to contradiction matrix, and in the contradiction matrix there will be principles. Those 40 principles, the solutions, right? If you remember, those 40 principles are there in that contradiction matrix. We have to pick and choose the right solutions which will be applicable to us. Okay. So application of principles to the resources, and then after finding out the near solution. Now, as again, I'm saying this, TRIZ will not give you solutions. TRIZ will trigger you, will give you some direction in which you have to find out solution. Understand this? TRIZ is not the, it's not ready-made cooked food. Okay. It is something like it will direct you. It will give you the guidance. It will give you the principle, right? Where you can do the brainstorming and identify these solutions. Okay. Now here is, so once you identify the solution, then you just take some trials and validate your solutions. Take the risk analysis, risk assessment. You can do FMEA in that case. And once it is completely finalized, yes, this trial is successful, and then you can actually go for the rolling out of the solution. Okay. So these are the 5-6 steps where we apply TRIZ. Okay. So knowing the objective, finding the contradiction, finding the resource, use the contradiction matrix, find out the principles, and then apply those principles, then validate your solutions and roll it out in the large scale. Okay. This is the stage at which we will go with the TRIZ roadmap, we can call it. So if I have to ask what is the correct path, so we need to actually find out some innovative way to find out this. Okay. Now, finding out the IFR, ideal final result, is very, very important. Okay. Why it is important? Let's take this this as a very what you can say, a joke, you can say. I wish my wife were half of my age, says this gentleman. His wife standing next to him, right? In front of angel, right? A fairy. That fairy has her wand in her hand, and she just rotates that wand, magic wand, and what happens is, the gentleman changes into an old man, because what he has wished for, a half-aged wife, a wife of his half age. And guess what he has got? He has got his solution right. But this is not what he was intending. His intention was different. He was expecting a girl who will be a half of his age. Let's say the gentleman was 40. He was expecting a 20-year-old girl, right? But instead of that, he became 80. Right? So the dangers of offering solutions rather than defining what you really want is very, very important. So understand this. So what we need needs to be understood clearly, and then only we can go to this innovative problem solving. Okay. Now after this, so redefining the problem stated, describe the problem statement with the following elements. First is the problem brief, just like our problem statement in our project charter, right? Data collected from Jan 21 to December 21 shows that average monthly expenses of blah, 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 blah. That is the problem statement. Similarly, write down the problem statement, problem brief, give the background, what is wrong, since when it is wrong, right? Current situation, right? Then function, task done by the product and service. What does that product or service is doing? Actually, it should be done. Okay, but it is not functioning according to the requirement. Then IFR, ideal final result. What IFR you are expecting, right? So what's the ideal situation? What's stopping from achieving the IFR? How obstacles be made to disappear? Then has anyone done similar things like this in the other industry or in the past, or has they patented it, right? So everything comes into IFR, right? Then the benefits, if you do this, what will be the benefit of this? How will you know when you have got there? What are the points that will basically mention that, okay, this is what we have wanted to achieve and it has been achieved, okay? Then criteria for solution evaluation, okay? So these are the factors where, we have to state this, what is our IFR clearly, just like our project charter. This is just like our project charter, like what is my problem, what I want to achieve clearly, okay, IFR. Then what happens is, then finding the contradiction. Now in TRIZ, they have identified 39 contradictions, right? So they have just said what is a system and all. So system is a collection of parts working together towards a common purpose or goal. For example, a pencil with a rubber, the eraser basically, right? Rubber eraser. So which is pencil and eraser. If you want to remove something, then you can use the eraser as well. If you write something, you can use the pencil. So it is called a system, right? So they work in tandem. So this is called a computer system where RAM, graphic card, hard disk, and processor and motherboard and CD-ROM, which is part of the CPU system, right? So this is what. So system contradictions is a contradiction is simple clash of solutions. Where if you have a solution and that is contradicting with something, that is called a system contradiction, okay? Or it's called a technical contradiction as well. So I'll not go much into the details. Let's understand this. Yes. So let's understand what is resource. So one, we have identified the IFR. IFR is the final stage we want to achieve. Then what do you mean by resource? What are the resources? They have given an example of a windmill here. What is windmill? How does a windmill work? Let's understand this. So windmill rotates, rotates the blade. The blade of the windmill rotates, okay? And it produces mechanical energy. A torque is produced. A rotational force is produced because of the rotation of the windmill blade, okay? And because of that, what happens is this mechanical energy is then converted to electrical energy, okay? By coupling that to a generator, electrical generator, right? So mechanical energy converted into electrical energy which generates electricity. That's how a basic function of windmill is, right? Now, in a windmill, blades are rotated to generate mechanical energy. Okay, this mechanical energy is later converted to electrical energy. That's what I mentioned. But what makes the blade rotate? That's a question. What makes the blade rotate? And the blades are rotated with the wind, Okay, because of wind, only the blades rotate. That's what we call windmill. Windmill. And so wind becomes the resource here, the main resource, right? Now, thus we are using wind energy to rotate the blades. So to complete the required function, we are using the wind energy as a resource. Okay. So this function is completed only with this resource called wind, right? So understanding resources. So in this system, we have identified what is the main resource here, which is converted into what is the function of that particular system. So understanding the resources play a very important role in solving the problem. Okay. Resources can be anything which is around the problem area, object, tool, which can be used to solve the problem. And using the existing resources to solve the problem reduces cost as well as takes the ideality, the idealistic situation. Okay. So existing resources. So study the existing resources. What we mean to say is, first, clarify the IFR, understand the contradiction, okay, or understand the resources, and then you can understand what is the contradiction, what is stopping us to achieve that. Okay, that is called a contradiction, right? Now this is a fantastic example of a resource which is given. Now in a bakery, understand this guys, what is the resource? In a bakery, when a bread is being baked or a cake is being baked, okay, there is some aroma, there is some smell which spreads out. What this smart baker has actually done, this baker has put a pipe up or put a duct, and it opens in the on the road. Okay, the people who are passersby, the people who are just passing by from there can smell it, and that resource is pulling more sales to that bakery. Because of that smell, a lot of people are getting attracted. Okay, I love this cake smelling, I love this bread smelling, let me have some, or some bun is being baked here, let's go and have some bun baska, or have some cakes or some breads, whatever, right? So this is one of the example how resources can be used to attract the sales, attract the solve the problem as well. So you have to take care of all the small resources. Now this, if this would not have used this innovatively, this would have been a chimney, would have, at the end of the what is the building, the back of the building, they would release that smell, right? But instead of that, innovatively they have used to attract the customers as well. Okay, because the bread smell or the cake smell is attracting the sales. Okay, so this is one of the example of identification of the resource and use them in the optimization, right? Now, so what we have done is we have identified the IFR, ideal final result. We have identified the resource. Second, all the resources, okay, around that, correct? Like our computer system resources, like pen and rubber resources, okay, all the system resources which can be used. Okay, in the windmill, wind is the resource what we have identified. Now we have to identify what are the contradictions, okay, and there are 39 parameters Waldschuler has actually identified. 39 parameters, and according to him, these parameters can contradict with each other. For example, let me give you some example. Let's say speed. If I have to go to speed, okay, let's say run with the speed, I want to run my machine with the speed. So contradicting parameter could be reliability. Okay, my breakdown might go up. So speed of implementation or speed of running and my reliability, the machine reliability, whether my machine will run properly or not at that speed, will go on the toss. So speed and reliability are the contradicting factors or parameters. Okay, so they have identified 39 parameters. So one will be contradicting to another parameters always. Okay, so remember this, there will be one parameter I want to improve without compromising on the second parameter. For example, I want to improve quality without increasing price of my product. Okay, I want to improve my quality without compromising the safety of my product. I want to increase the productivity without compromising the fatigue of my people. Understand this? So one, I want to improve, but I do not want the second parameter to contradict to it. At least if it is not worsening, at least it should be stable. Understand this? Okay, so that is what these 39 parameters do. Okay, so these are the 39 parameters which are actually identified in TRIZ. And then, so actually what happens is in this PDF document, I'm going to share this PDF document to you. Okay, and as I mentioned to you today, because this is a different system we are working on, so you may not be interacting. I think that people were struggling to put the comments as well as chat box. That's what I'm identifying here. What we are going to do is I'm going to load this recording, okay, and I'm going to give you this PDF document. Go through this PDF, understand what do you mean by these parameters one by one, okay, and I'm going to give you a super duper resource today for the TRIZ, which you will love to identify and play around this, okay, and just do that. And in the next section, in the next session when we will be meeting, ask a lot of questions about it. Okay, now just listen to me carefully what I'm about to say. So these are the 39 parameters explained clearly, literally one by one. Okay, nuts and bolts you have to. So I'm not going through this. You just read them at your leisure time and understand them. It's very simple. Weight of moving object, mass of the object, it's a gravitational field. in the gravitational field, the force that the body exerts on the support or suspension. Okay. Now, most of them look like a mechanical property, a physics property. Actually, they are. But you know what? It can be used for any of the, even service industry solutions as well, right? Which I'm going to explain you. So all the 39 parameters, they are explained. Okay. Now, for example, here speed, the velocity of an object, the rate at which the process or action is in time. Now, speed, even though speed is a physical parameter, the speed can also be applied for the rate of production, of speed of completing the task as well. Okay, so that parameter can be used as that as well, right? Okay, then stress or pressure. Now, stress or pressure are the mechanical properties, but stress can be mental, stress can be physical as well. Okay, so that can be used as well here. Okay, so what I'm saying is, even though these are the mechanical property, looks like mechanical property, but these are the trigger words, the principles which I'm going to explain, the 40 principles. These trigger words will lead you to give, to identify certain solutions, okay? So all these 39 parameters have been given. Let me explain. Okay, yeah. Eliminating loss of energy, loss of time. Now, loss of time. Now, loss of time is also very, very useful, right? I want to increase my productivity without losing the time. Okay, I want to increase the speed of the production without losing time, right? That is, you can find out the contradicting parameters here. Okay, so all these are explained. I'm not going again. Just let me just go to the next one. So after you have all these 39 parameters, okay, so in each of the process available in industry, there will be these 39 parameters only and nothing else. That's what Altshuler says. Except these 39 parameters, there is no other parameter which may vary. Okay, these are the only variable parameters. Whenever there is a contradiction of two or more of these parameters, parameters will vary. Okay, one of them will improve and other will get worse. Okay, and using these parameters, technical contradictions are defined. And how it is done? Let me just give you some simple examples. So prima facie, it seems a little difficult in the initial stage to understand, but as you progress, as you go ahead, then it will be clearer to you. So let's look at this. Improving parameters. Now, this is called a contradiction matrix. Okay, a schematic diagram of contradiction matrix. I'm going to give you that contradiction matrix Excel sheet, and then I'm going to give you a resource which you can play around it, for the TRIZ. Okay. Now, improving parameter on the y-axis and on the x-axis there is worsening parameter, the parameter which will go down, right? Like for example, if I improve the productivity, my fatigue will go, fatigue will increase as well, but the stress level will increase, or my energy will go down. So these are the worsening parameters. If I want to improve the quality, my cost will go down, or cost will go up, meaning my price will go up, cost will go up. So these are the worsening parameters basically. So improving parameters and worsening parameters are the contradicting parameters. So let's, for example, speed and energy utilized by the moving object. Now, when we increase the speed, obviously energy utilization will increase, correct? That's what people will get exhaust. It's not only moving object, it can be for the people as well. Understand this? It can be applicable to people as well. Now, what happens is when this kind of situation occurs, then speed and energy utilized, number 9 and number 27, will have a common principle. There are 40 principles. Remember the 40 solutions he has identified, right? So 39 parameters and 40 principles. Remember these two. 39 parameters and 40 principles, out of which 8th principle will give you some guidance. 35th principle will give you some guidance. Understand this? So this matrix will give you the actual number of that solution, and you have to go to that solution, and that solution will give you some trigger which you can think and find out the solution. Okay, let me give you another example. If I want to increase the productivity, look at this. Increase the productivity, my temperature should not be a worsening parameter. My temperature should not go up. Okay, my machine should not heat, and if I want to increase the speed of the machine, speed of the vehicle, my temperature of the tire should not go up, the temperature of the engine should not go up. Okay, in that case, what needs to be done? So in that case, there are 4 principles will save you. 4 principles will give you some solutions. For example, principle number 35, principle number 28, principle number 21, principle number 10. Okay, don't worry, I will explain you what are those principles, etc. Okay, shortly I will explain you, and I'll give you the resource to study further, right? Then this is called a contradiction matrix. Okay, this complete chart of 39 parameters and 39, worsening parameters, improving parameters, and that entire chart, in each and every chart, there is, diagonally, horizontally, vertically, whenever they meet, what kinds of principles will save, that entire chart is created. The ready-made chart is there. I'm going to explain it to you. Okay, this is a schematic representation of that matrix, right? Then, so productivity and temperature will give 35, 28, 21, and 10. So what are those basically? Remember the 40 ways of solving the problem, as I mentioned to you earlier. Out of that, these numbers are nothing but one of those ways to solve the problem. Okay, termed as principles. Like in this situation, the contradiction caused by the temperature and productivity parameter can be solved by principle number 35, principle number 28, principle number 29, or principle number 10. Now, either of these, they are the indicators. It does not mean all of them will be applicable. Okay, in some case, all of them will not be applicable. Okay, but at least whatever fits in your current situation, you have to take that to solve the innovative problem. Okay, problem innovatively rather. So yes, so now these are the inventive principles. We have seen 39 parameters which are contradicting parameters. These are inventive principles. What is inventive principle? Inventive principle is nothing but, for example, segmentation, taking out, local quality, asymmetry, merging, universality, nesting. All these are the principles in which you can find out some solution. Okay, so let me give you a couple of examples just to appreciate what do you mean by these principles. Yes, so let us take one principle called segmentation. The first principle called segmentation. Okay, understand this. I'll give you a couple of examples: segmentation and taking out. Okay, this is principle number 2. Okay, and there are other 40 principles, 38 principles you can refer later on, and then I'll explain you the resource. So principle number 1, segmentation. Let's understand what does it mean. Now let's imagine a situation. Divide an object into independent parts. So segmentation meaning dividing object into independent part. Example: truck and the trailer. Truck and the trailer. Dividing them into independent parts. So earlier it was only truck, only one entity was there, correct? Now what they have done, that container, remember the trailer container, right? So container is, you can replace the container. So container can be taken out, and then you can replace the container, put the empty container, and truck can go. So you don't have to wait in that. Okay, so turn around becomes super fast. Earlier it was just like truck has to come, then 10 people would board, and then whatever is the material they would unload that. It was huge time consuming activity. What they have done, segmentation. They have separated truck and separated that trailer, separated the container. So container and truck was separate, right? Then ice cube from ice slab. Okay, so see what I mean to say is these are some of the parts who are separated. So segmentation is the idea. So you have to think what segmentation, what can be parted out separately to solve the problem. That is the question we need to ask. Okay, I've given a fantastic example here. So make an object easy to disassemble. For example, just add hot water noodles, okay, or modular furniture. These are a couple of examples. Modular furniture, we know, right? It is very easy to disassemble and assemble as well. And the noodles, Maggi noodle, let's say, right? Noodles are very easy. Where the masala spices are separate, the noodles are separate. Just have to add the water. So they have segmented, right? They have segmented. So now, for example, what used to happen earlier? If you add that masala to that Maggi noodle, the life of that Maggi noodle would shrink. What they did, they preserved that noodle and they kept it separately. They preserved that masala, kept it separately, segmented it separately. Okay, and water is separate. So you need to add water from your home. So see, water was the main ingredient which would actually decay that entire food product, right? Which would reduce that life cycle of the food product. So they have separated that water. Just put that preserved masala and preserved noodles, and then they put that in the product, and then the shelf life is huge, right? So it can remain there for almost 3 months to 6 months, right? Then while cooking, you just add that, tear that packet off, put that water, boil it, and then it is ready to eat in 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. Correct? So this is what a segmentation means. Let me give you another example as well. So example of this scenario is there is a wildfire. Okay. So in this scenario, the fire brigade. Okay, we need fire brigade to suppress the fire at the place of fire emergency. So it's a huge fire outburst. Okay, to suppress the fire effectively, we need huge volume of water. Right, water flow needs to be huge. So this causes wastage of water to a great level. Understand this? Because at the fire, at the root of the fire, at the surrounding where the other places also catching fire. So huge water gets wasted while extinguishing the fire, right? Thus, we increase the water flow. It gets easy to repair the damage, which is the extinguishing of the fire, but at the expense of huge water wastage. Okay, so it gives the way to system conflict. What is the conflict? Conflict is we want to extinguish the fire, increase the water flow to extinguish the fire, but of course, it can be extinguished very, in a rapid pace, but at the loss of energy, which is water. Okay, so this is the contradiction, this is the conflict, right? So what we do? So we go to the resource. What I'm going to explain you. So we put what we want to improve: repairability, because we are extinguishing the fire, it is repairing the thing, right? So repairability I want to improve, but without wasting the energy, because water is the energy and it is waste of energy, which is 22 number. Okay, so we have to pick and choose relevant parameters. Okay, so these two parameters are out of those 39 contradicting parameters. Okay, which feature you have to improve? You have to select from here, from the 39 parameters, and from the same parameter, 39 parameters, you have to select the conflicting parameter as well from the 39 from the drop box. Okay, and then this software will give you, this is the contradiction matrix. This software will give you let's say four kind of solutions. Solution number 15, which is principle number 15, principle number 1, segmentation, principle number 32, optical changes, principle number 19, periodic action. Okay, so these are the four principles, four solution triggers the software is given. So let's understand segmentation. What is segmentation? So what will be the resource available in the particular situation? Understand this. There is water which is already available. Apart from water, there is another resource available called air. Understand this. Okay, that's what identifying resources, studying the resources around the system is very, very important. So air we would not have thought of, but air is also a resource which is present there. Okay, so water is there, air is there. So what we need to do is instead of putting only water, what can we do? Air suspended with water droplet. So air is amply available around this. So instead of full-fledged water stream, shooting on the fire, instead of, can we use air suspended with water droplets? The water droplets. When I say water droplets, the quantity of water is very limited. Okay, quantity of water is very limited, and quantity of air is very high. Okay, so which is called as mist. It is called as mist. Okay, now what is mist? Mist is a phenomenon of small water droplets suspended in air. So it is air with all small water droplets which are suspended in that air. Okay, so mist can suppress fire effectively using a very small amount of water. In this case, water which is utilized is very, very small amount and it can be saved, right? So this is what actually we are doing. Okay, so segmentation of water. So what we have done is, instead of the full stream of water, we have just used the droplets of water to extinguish the fire. Okay, that is the example of segmentation, right? Example of segmentation. Let me give you another. So water droplets suspended mist is a solution which we can implement. So you can take the trial of that. If trial is successful, then you can roll out that solution for a larger scale. Okay. Another example I would like to give is called the second principle, which is called taking out. So first principle out of this 40 principle is segmentation. Second principle is called taking out. Taking out. What is taking out? Separate an interfering part or property from the object or system. Separate the parts from the system. Okay, or single out the only necessary part. Single out the only necessary part. Let me give you example which will be easy. Okay, now if you are staying in a area where there are thefts happening or burglary happening, now what could be the solution? You can have a big strong pet, okay, a dog. Even though you are not a dog lover, but because of this threat, you have actually put a pet in place, a strong dog. Okay. Now instead of that, because now you want to avoid this theft or burglary, right? But on the other side, you hate dogs, Then what is the principle? The principle is parting. Principle is what? Taking out. Now taking out is what we are doing. Instead of dog, we are using sound of barking dog without a dog as a burglar alarm. Okay. If there is some suspicious movement which can be tracked, that burglar alarm will start sounding like a barking dog, and that will give indication that there is a dog around, and those thieves would go away from the location. So what do you mean by that? Instead of putting the dog, we are just separating out. We don't want entire dog, right? The dog, then vaccination, and it's the food, and removing all these potties and everything comes into picture after having a dog, after having a pet. And if you're not the pet lover, if you're not a dog lover, it's very difficult for you to manage all these things, right? So instead of that, ask the question: what do you need out of the entire dog system? You want a barking dog, right? That's what that will actually threaten that thief or thieves, okay, and they will go away, right? So instead of keeping a complete dog, a big dog, and doing all those expenses for that when you're not loving it, just put a burglar alarm system of just sounding like a dog barking, right? That's a example of separating out. Now these are, so what we are doing, dog and barking out. So barking out is parting off from there. We're taking out that. So that is what this taking out application works. Okay. So what I've shared actually to you guys is TRIZ, which is a solution generation triggering methodology. And let me share with you the metrics as well. Let me share with you a matrix which is used in TRIZ. Okay. That now this is the contradiction matrix. Okay, I'm going to put this PDF document and this contradiction matrix completely in our library, in our archive. Okay, now here improving feature. Look at this. If weight of moving object, okay, and length of moving object, if I want to increase or improve the weight without changing the length of moving object, let's say, okay, so weight is I want to improve or increase or maybe reduce, okay, without changing the length of the moving object, then these are, let me just enlarge it. You can see this. So weight of the moving object and let's say length of the moving object, this one, third one. So these are the 4 principles. 15, principle number 15, principle number 8, principle number 29, principle number 34 will be applicable. There is a list of the principles and all those things. Okay, so this is the contradiction matrix which is available by the TRIZ. Art Schuler has created this contradiction matrix. Now I'm going to give you a super duper tip on this. There is a website called TRIZ40.com. Just write the name down of this website, TRIZ40.com. I'm going to take you to that website immediately. Just right now, I'm just taking you to that website, which is called TRIZ40.com. And here is the website. It looks like this. Okay, look at this. This is the website, and let me just take you to. Okay, so look at this. So this interface of this website looks like this, TRIZ40.com. Okay, it's a free resource. You can use this. Now here, they have created a wonderful thing. Here you have to set the contradiction to solve. Look at this. Okay, on this right hand side, you'll see this feature to improve. Okay, and feature to preserve. Let me just stop my video a little bit so that it will not come in between. So feature to improve. For example, I just want my productivity to go up. Let's say my personal productivity to go up, and I don't want, while going up the productivity, let me see, my energy should not be lost. Example. Okay. So when I want my productivity, let's say my personal productivity to go up, my loss of energy should not happen. Okay. In that case, now TRIZ, this TRIZ 40, this matrix has given me four principles. One is mechanics substitution, preliminary action, pneumatics, hydraulics, and parameter change. Okay. Let's go one by one quickly. So mechanics substitution. Now look at this. When I click on this, it reads like replace a mechanical means with sensory, optical, acoustic, taste, or smell means. What does it mean? It means, okay. Now, replace the mechanical means with the sensory means. So that triggers me something of the automation. Understand this? A mechanical means has to be converted to sensory means. A sensor or some automation, some AI application kind of a thing. Can I do some automation to increase my productivity? That's my question. That's my trigger question. Are you understanding this? So from the mechanic substitution, I need to automate certain things. That's a trigger point I'm getting from here. Okay. Then use electric and magnetic, electromagnetic field. Now everything will not be applicable here. Change from static to movable fields. Change from static to movable fields. Now, if I want to increase the productivity, okay, so I need not to remain static. I have to move. Understand this? Okay. Now I have to, so we understand this. So if I have to move, it will be more productive. Understand this? If I have to move, so these are the trigger words. Some of will be applicable, some will not be applicable. Use fields in conjunction with field activated. Okay. So that this may not be applicable. Let's go to the next field called preliminary action. Principle number 10 called preliminary action. What does it say? Perform before it is needed. Perform before it is needed. For example, if I want to increase the productivity, right? So I will practice before the performance, right? I will put some material already in place before actual task comes. The second is pre-arrange object such that they can come into action from the most convenient place. I will arrange all the resources around me so that it will be actually applicable whenever it is needed. Okay, so these two principles will give me some kind of trigger ideas that I can implement in my solving the problem. See, what is my problem? I want to increase my productivity. Look at this. I want to increase my productivity. The first one is productivity increase without loss of energy. I do not want to tire myself or my team members. Okay, without loss of energy. So these are the actual solutions. Okay. Then pneumatics and hydraulics. Again, it may or may not be applicable. Okay. Use gas and liquid parts of the object instead of solid parts. Okay. This may or may not be applicable again. The next one is parameter change. What is parameter change? Change object's physical state. Change the concentration and consistency. Okay. So if concentration is improved, let's say, again, this I'm saying, it is not only mechanical and physical physics. Okay. This can be applicable to us as well. If I have to increase my productivity, I have to increase my concentration. Okay. Then change the degree of flexibility on a rigid chair and speaking or I'm working, I have to be a flexible chair where that should be moving. So the flexibility should be there so that I will be more comfortable and working for more time period for a very long time. Okay. Without getting fatigued. Change the temperature. Understand this? Change the temperature. Now, what it triggers? If I want to work very long time, change the temperature. Change the temperature of the body. Change the temperature of the surrounding. So my air conditioner, my what do you say? The air flow in the air, okay, of the room, okay, etc. should be kept at some level, at the optimum level, so that the person performs in that environment without getting fatigued, without losing the energy. Are you understanding? Productivity and parameter changes. So this way, this is a resource, TRIZ40.com. You have to go to this and explore this. Okay. And next time we will discuss a lot about it. You go to menu, understand this, go to menu. You will find all 40 principles here. You can see all the 40 principles. Okay, this is called segmentation, the first principle, taking out, the second principle, local quality, the third principle, asymmetry, the fourth principle. All 40 principles explained in the detailed way with the solution, with the examples. Okay, another one is the TRIZ matrix is also given. the just Excel sheet which I just showed you, that entire matrix is given here. Look at this. This matrix also you can see. TRIZ matrix. This is called TRIZ matrix. Okay. Then apart from this, what else? The yes. So you can just explore this and go to interactive TRIZ where the I just explained. You just select one parameters, feature to improve, and then feature to preserve. Okay. Do some exploration. Read the PDF. Go through this entire recording again, and once it is done, then we can discuss this in the next session. And this was a trial we have taken because it is not an interactive webinar right now. Okay, you may not be. I thought at least the chat window also would be open, but it seems like chat also is disabled in this. So what we will do, just go through this. TRIZ, this is the new concept we have learned today. Practice this, and the newcomer people input for you is whenever you understand the concept, the first thing is just take a lot of notes. Take the notes. Okay. Secondly, while taking the notes, connect the concepts to your own process. Connect the concept to your own process, your own example. Okay. That will give you a lot of leverage. Okay. Once you're doing that, start doing that, you will be, you will go to the next level, right? So what we'll do, we'll close here today, since this is not interactive right now, and this I'm uploading immediately. People who have missed, maybe look into that later, right? So thank you very much for attending. This is already, we have crossed the time, almost 9:10 now. So go through this TRIZ. This is not a part of Lean Six Sigma traditional. Understand this. This is, we are additionally incorporating this. Okay, it is giving you additional resources to solve the problem innovatively, right? Next session we will take the recap of this, and I'm going to give you much more innovative tools like brain writing, analog brainstorming, and anti-brainstorming, reverse brainstorming. There are so many different types of brainstorming apart from our traditional brainstorming. We are going to study next time. Okay. So all the best. Thank you very much for joining. Bye bye. Take care.